You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your one-stop candy shop for all things Madonna, Louise, Veronica, Ciccone. Hey guys, I'm Tony. Welcome.
Hey everybody, it's Ben, and we will not be talking about Candy Shop tonight. That's the end of it.
Hey everybody, it's Stefan. Welcome to a very impromptu live show. It's a Monday. Happy to be here. And I want to welcome back friend of the podcast, Ahmad. Hello, Ahmad.
Hey everyone.
Welcome, Ahmad.
Thanks for having me back.
Yes, thanks for pitching in at the last minute. Liberty wasn't unable to make it due to personal commitments, so I was like, let's have a room full of fine, handsome gentlemen to look at on a Monday. Ahmad, how are things in Canada? He's representing Toronto, so how is Toronto these days?
You mean the fascist state of Toronto?
Yeah.
It's doing good. Not the same without Madonna here, but we're living.
Yes. Well, who knows? Maybe she'll be coming back.
Sickick is here. If she's doing any more music, but I'm just saying.
Are you seeing Sickick? When is he going to be there?
No, he lives in Toronto. That's what I meant.
Oh.
You guys, I had to stop following Sickick because he is a Trumper.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible to hear. Now I'm going to have to unfollow him too. Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
He did a remix of the eating dogs thing, and he was like, people were commenting on it saying Trump 2024, and he was like, yeah, and I'm like, no.
Oh God, I thought he was making fun of it. That's why I didn't even.
I thought so too, and then I saw the comments, and I'm like, oh, it's not a joke.
That's disheartening.
He wants to get traction using that, hoping it was going to get posted. Exactly. Anyway, that's the last we're going to speak about Sickick on this podcast.
Correct. Yeah, he's dead to us now. Well, I haven't got much time to waste. It's time to make my way. We're going to jump right into things. It's time for a little This Week in Ciccone.
See, I get what I want.
I switched it up because Liberty's not here. I was like,
You're not going to sing?
I'm not singing. No. I don't have the voice today. Well, Madonna set fans into a frenzy this afternoon with one simple Instagram post saying, London calling, back in the stew with Stuart Price. And she posted myriad photos of her in a recording studio environment with Confessions on a Dancefloor producer, Stuart Price. The big question, of course, is she trolling us or is she making new music with Stuart? So I'm going to say to everyone watching, please put your comments and suggestions of what you think Madonna is up to in the studio with Stuart Price in the chat. We will get to that in a little bit, but we're going to start off with our guest of honor tonight, Ahmad. Ahmad, you first. What do you think Madonna is up to in the studio with Stuart?
I mean, I'm split. I think everyone here is like, there's a 50% chance this is new music, which, like you, Stefan, I'm always hoping for new music. But then at the same time, you're like, we've been through this before. We hope, we wish, and then it's like, okay, nothing comes out of it, or it's artistic vision or something. So yeah, I'm kind of split. But then I keep going. I keep going through the pictures, and I scroll and I zoom in, and then some of them you can see through the laptop. There's a lot of text in especially in the laptop. If you see, there's like a proper page printed out. So either it's new music. I can't see her recording audio for the tour film because that's never been done before. Yeah, she's reshot footage for like Madame X, but that was video footage, not audio. The only other thing I can see it being is if she's doing the tour film and it's kind of like a documentary style. You know how with I'm Gonna Tell You a Secret, there's this whole like her narrating the movie. That could be basically another option. But why would she need Stuart Price for that?
Okay,
that's
good.
More of
We're gonna yes and so Tony, what are your thoughts?
I actually have no thoughts. I mean, I looked at all the photos and I zoomed in, and it was giving me a lot of that hashtag magic where Madam X was being recorded and we got clues, and a lot of those clues didn't materialize the way that we thought they would.
Mhm.
So that's why I take all of these with a grain of salt. Stuart Price, he remixed the actual show. He put he put the sonic landscape together, and the soundscape, I guess. And he also, did the DJ set before the shows. I don't know if this is part of them working together on, the sound design for the Celebration Tour video. I hope for new music, but I hate to speculate on that if I don't know any of the details,
Yeah.
especially since, we don't, she has a way of distributing her music, but we don't know if there is A&R. We don't know if there is an actual, label liaison. So so it's just, like I said, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt every step of the way. Hopefully it builds up to an actual presentation, of new work, hopefully,
Mhm. Ben, what about you?
All right, Stefan, I'm going to be you tonight, your usual anyway. I think it is new music. I think any kind of recording she needed to do for the tour, she did weeks ago when she was in the studio previously. Here's why. One, the lyrics on the laptop and in the notebook. So somebody in the chat used some kind of Photoshop sharpening tool and actually quoted some of the lyrics that were on the notebook, which I was never able. Apparently, she's rhyming moving and mixing with wing, and there's a line that says, "A love I want," that's some word that ends in ABLE. Also, thinking about her 2023, I can totally see her watching that. I'm just going to keep my opinions to myself in public. The film All of Us Strangers, and I can see her really resonating with that, the themes in the film and what happens. And maybe that was the breakthrough that she needed to write about sort of life after death sort of thing. And, so I think it's new music.
Okay.
I really do.
Welcome on board, Ben. I'm glad to finally have you.
And one more thing to what Ahmad said, the fact that if you cast your mind back, they recorded Confessions in his old attic apartment in London. There was no engineer, there were no techs. They did all of it until, did Pat come in and master that one? Was that the last one that he did? Or did he, because he didn't master Hard Candy, which was her last Warner's album. The guy that started working with her, or Spike did Confessions. So they wouldn't need another person until they get to that part.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think it's new music.
So, I'm glad to hear you say that, Ben. I of course, I like to look at the clues, as Ahmad said. She always, whenever she's working on new music, she has that little notebook because she always does traditional handwriting stuff. The big thing where I thought, okay, because I try to talk myself off a ledge whenever she does stuff like this. I get very irate because I think, Madonna, why are you teasing us again? Here we go again, teasing us. Oh, look, I'm in the studio. You think it's new music, and then it's not. And months go by, and we either don't find out what it is, it just never comes to fruition, her ill-fated Sickick track or the Max Martin track or any of the night before she went to the hospital with Katy Perry in the studio, or there's so many empty promises of music existing. And yes, I work myself up and I always oh yeah, here, the new music, it's coming. And then it never comes. And so today, when she posted it, everyone was hopping on it's the new music bandwagon. I was on the opposite end of that. For the first time in a long time, I was she's trolling us. This is all a lie. She's just doing what she always does. Oh, look, I'm in the studio. And it has nothing to do with new music at all. I was oh, she's recording vocals for the tour film but I was it has nothing to do with new music at all. However,
I'm going to give you another counterpoint.
Okay.
Before we get too far away from it. is the fact that think about the last time Stuart produced an album, it also gathered songs that had been written for multiple other projects. The Hello Suckers musical, songs that she had been writing on tour, leftovers from American Life that they were then sort of redoing for Hello Suckers that then ended up. So it's very possible that the Sickick song, the Max Martin song, they could still be the songwriters on the originals, and just like the songs that she did with Mirway and who were those producers from Sweden, the ones that did Britney and
Blood, Shy, and Avant.
Yeah, think about it. They did the original tracks, but Stuart reproduced them as he did the entire tour and that amazing mixtape that they just casually put on the internet right after the Rio show. Can you imagine if the new album sounds like that mixtape? I would die.
I'm dead.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
But
anyway,
so no, as you were saying,
evidence.
So like again, more evidence as to like why I suddenly shifted my perspective into thinking I think it's new music is because there's no TV screen in the room that we can see, and if she was doing something for the tour film, we'd see a TV screen. She'd be in one of those mixing editing suites, and she's not. This is a total music creation room with keyboards and pads, and like it's Stuart's element. And yeah, so that's what I was thinking. Our fifth perspective comes from Lady Liberty, who was unable to join us tonight. She asked me to read this on air, so I'm reading it word for word according to her wishes. She's definitely in the studio.
Stefan, wait. Before you start, will you say, I am an Italian American and I am proud of it?
Yeah. What doesn't she get pissed at the audience where she's, or no, like the Italians are like trying to quiet everybody down?
I will not finish. I will not start until I have silence. Okay, go.
So Liberty says, she's definitely in the studio to make new music. It's going to be hot dance. It's going to have the message of us all coming together and dancing and having a holiday. It will have no features and all new originals with some electronic elements and a delicious bedtime story type vocal. It will change the face of music and put all of us into a trance. It will bring world peace and have 18 songs on the album. The lyrics will reference her health scare, but in a seize the day type of vibe. So there we go. That's Liberty's wishes of what she hopes Madonna was doing in the studio.
It is now out in the universe.
I love that somebody has some like sharpening tool to figure out. I couldn't even zoom in that much.
I tried.
I did too.
I tried too.
But I do want to cover off. I know, Ben, you're not a fan of the movie All of Us Strangers, but on the Post-it note in one of the shots, you could clearly see All of Us Strangers written. Yeah. All of Us Strangers is a movie with Andrew Scott, who was the hot priest from Fleabag. If you don't know anything that just came out of my mouth, shame on you. You should look it up.
One of your guests here doesn't know anything.
Oh, okay. So All of Us Strangers is a really great. So it's an indie film by the same guy who did the Looking series on HBO, and he did a movie called The Weekend. All of Us Strangers was just recently out. It's on streaming, so you should give it a view. It's a gay film, and Andrew Scott is great in it. And Claire Foy, and who plays the dad?
Jamie Elliott.
Oh yeah,
Jamie Bell,
Billy Elliott. Billy Elliott.
Yeah. Jamie Bell, i.e., Billy Elliott. They play the parents of Andrew Scott's character, and then who's the boyfriend?
Paul Mescal plays hot neighbor.
Woo!
Yeah,
there is some hot scenes in this movie. It's
sold.
I know. I think that film. I mean, because I saw it back in December, and I feel like that film resonated with Madonna because of like the whole themes of love, loss, longing, and parental responsibility, dealing with the loss of a parent, dealing with the loss of your lover. I mean, all these things that, it's almost kind of like like an ode to like the things we didn't say, the things we didn't do when your loved one is alive. And I think that these are themes that are weighing heavy on Madonna, especially with all her children growing old and her scare, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe also seeing her fans come out in full force for each of the celebration tour dates, and made her realize that, like, wow, this could have all not happened. This could have been left behind, you know? That's what I think, you know, because when you guys brought up, you know, that was written down, I was like, I can see her resonating to this film, you know?
That's it. Yeah, I was wondering what that had to do with, because I was like, why would Madonna be talking about this film? But yeah,
think about it. Like we don't want to spoil it just for everybody watching and listening. We don't want to spoil, but we can talk about the themes, which, as Tony pointed out, it's like grief, but it's also the echo of grief, right? And loss and aging and family, but also being alone. Like there's all these dualities that kind of happen. And those are things that, to Leos, they find them curious and sort of creatively invigorating, even if they don't like to exist in them in their actual life. And yeah, when I saw that was actually the thing that convinced me it was new music, was seeing that Post-it note, and it all just clicked. I was like, oh, everything that she's been going through with herself, her dad, now Joan has passed, her brother passed, and just all the stuff that she was talking about in like the Live to Tell section of the tour. So it's definitely at the front of her mind. Yeah, it totally fertile ground for creativity. I was just going to say sad disco in the line of Confessions. Sorry.
Yeah, I was thinking about What It Feels Like for a Girl, which was inspired by a film, but it took on a whole nother meaning, you know, according to Madonna's lyrics. So I hope it's in the same vein as that, you know.
Honestly, most of Madonna's like greatest works are inspired by films. Like think of all of Like a Prayer. The music videos were almost exclusively inspired by movies. So that's exciting.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what she does talk about, you know, like what her message is. And of course, I also am curious as to like what it'll sound like what the soundscape will be, because you know, Stuart's been really great at producing. I mean, what are some of his most recent albums that he's been working on?
Dula Peep.
Okay, right. And he did Aphrodite for Kylie. And obviously
he worked with All
Confessions.
Saints as well. Yeah, and
I'm just like, I loved that mixtape that he dropped after the Celebration tour ended, and I was like, oh, if he would do stuff like this with her now. I mean, obviously half of that was samples and other people's music, but I liked the vibe and the energy off of it. And I thought, well, I mean, even just the mixes that he did for the Celebration tour, I mean, just those alone, the soundscape for that tour was phenomenal. And I thought, oh, please, can we just get like something fresh and forward thinking from her? Because obviously the one thing we don't want is for her to release a new album and then we're like, oh, but this isn't what we were looking for.
Think about this. I mean, they've been working together for the past year. It has been, so who knows what kind of creative discussions they've had, what kind of influences they had living in the tour, you know, the people that they've met, the experiences that they had, and they sit down together at the studio and they're like, oh, remember this? Let's write about that. You know, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, and Esther's mixtape dropped, so maybe she can do some tracks.
I know, right?
Could that be funny? Ahmad, what were you going to say?
No, I was just wondering, so on your point, what are we, that's what I was thinking about all day. What sound are we hoping for? Because I don't think we want an exact Confessions Part 2. So what are we hoping for as a sound?
I mean, I've always said on the show, we want it to be some like a forward dance sound. I think she kind of needs to sort of get back to a Madonna sound. Madame X was a very large departure for her. So when you think about, and I mean, even to a point, like Rebel Heart was sort of a bit of a distance from her normal sound, just because that record was sort of, it started with Avicii, and then Diplo had to step in, and then who else? Who produced some? Wasn't it like didn't Kanye?
It was Mike Dean,
yeah.
and
so it was
Blood
like
Pop.
It was just like a bunch of different people, sort of with their hands all over that, and I do think Madonna, having said recently she just wants to get back to basics and do something old school where it's just her and one person. And I think that's what she's aiming to do. As far as the sound goes, I mean, I want to be surprised personally. I want it to be something that I wasn't expecting to hear, like I want it to sound inherently like her in the way. And I go back to this all the time when Bedtime Stories, which is going to be celebrating its 30th anniversary in a couple of weeks. When Bedtime Story came out, I remember thinking, this is such a large departure for her in terms of how it sounded compared to some of the other albums and songs that she'd been releasing up until that point. But at the same time, I felt like Bedtime Story sounded so inherent Madonna that it just made sense to me. Like, I feel like a lot of her albums, when she would shift sounds, it just made sense. It was like, yes, this is a natural progression for her. It made sense for her to live in this world. But then as some of the later albums, I feel like it didn't work that way. And I'm hoping that maybe we get a return to form with this.
Yeah, well said. I think that working with one producer is what always hits it out of the park with Madonna. And I'm glad we're back to that, because these patchwork albums that we had since Hard Candy, right?
I mean, I guess
Hard Candy
had
still
more
two producers.
Yeah, it had. You're right. It had more focus, but yeah, MDNA, Rebel Heart, that was like, oh, let's just invite everybody to work on this,
Rebel Heart's
Yeah, it'll be fun to see what she does with a focus, like if it's just us. I mean, I'm fine if there's other people who work on the project, but I think having Stuart be like the creative director overseeing everything would be really fantastic to tie all of the ideas together.
Stuart has a very special place in his heart for Madonna. But if you read his interviews, it kind of seems like he's a fan in a way, which makes sense because she's the one who kind of discovered him and made him this big thing. And he went on to work with Kylie and whoever because of Madonna. So I have a feeling like if he's had good stuff recently, he's kind of parked on the side and was like, okay, maybe I'm going to give this to Madonna. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
That would be great. Ben, what are people saying in the comments?
Well, kind of all the same stuff we were saying, and then we got derailed by commentary about Ingrid.
Ingrid?
It's not worth it.
You chatters.
Yeah, but someone was talking about that. Oh shoot! Now I have to find it. Well, everybody was talking also about how the '90s are back, and so like that kind of music, like the house, how she said that in the video. I mean, the mixtape. I still go back to that's the template. It feels like how the mixtape felt. How Justify My Love and Rescue Me were the blueprint for erotica. The mixtape feels like the blueprint for the next album.
I hope so.
I would love that. Like.
Yeah.
Wholehearted. Now, God forbid that's the thing we look forward to, and then that's the exact opposite that she does. But because there's always
what you guys are talking about is exactly what I would love, and then like with one big ballad that hits, because
I mean, I'm not opposed to having some slow songs.
Yeah, no, she devoted a lot of real estate to her ballads on tour. She finally realized that those are her biggest hits worldwide. They're not necessarily the fan demand, but when she does Take a Bow, everybody, when I saw it in San Francisco, she did Take a Bow, and everyone was like, oh my God, because no one expects that, but it's what they want,
I mean, Live to Tell. I mean, what an epic moment on that show. And I think that was when I sort of understood, like every time you'd hear the opening notes of that in whatever city I was in, the applause, the awestruck moment that people were, and it's such a big song. And when you listen to her ballads, I mean, as much as I'm the dance queen and I'm always like, come on, Madonna, take us to the dance floor, you can't deny that she's got such beautiful ballads. I mean, they're just amazing songs, and I would love to hear a couple more. You know, has Stuart done slow ballad
Ecstatic
songs?
Process.
True. Yes.
Which Liberty has the most beautiful cover of on Spotify. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's so right. Yeah.
One of my favorite songs from American Life. Stuart wrote and produced it.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he produced the initial. I think Mirway like did the final version,
like
that's
deconstructed it or like souped it up or that makes sense.
Yeah, as long as Mirway stays in France, and I think they both had their time together. Madame X, had hits and misses, but I think this is return to form for her. It's not necessarily about being experimental. I think she can see that after this tour that people didn't leave the house and pay $1,000 to see her, chop and screw one of her hits. They wanted it straight up, and she gave it to them. So maybe this is that direction that she's going to be going in.
Yeah, to just go back to basics for her. I think, if there was an 80s feel, an early 90s feel, that'd be fantastic. Like it just seems like that's the music she should go back to and revisit, just because, she invented it, like all those sounds and those soundscapes. It's like it would not repeat what she did, but sort of go back almost like, do something new, but a looking back type of way. Yeah. I'd love it. I also saw she was attending a soccer game while she was in London. And
I love how
she's
completely.
She's got a boyfriend and she needs to entertain. You know how kids are.
Yeah.
I do have my cousin's actually a massive Chelsea fan, and that's how I kind of related. I was like, "Oh, see, Madonna went to Chelsea game." It was like, "Oh wow, okay." So that's how you push the gay agenda a little further,
I did think it was interesting though that she's going there, like she's recording in London, as opposed to. I guess. For Madonna, an international flight is nothing these days, but it's interesting that she's like been going to London to work with him a couple of times. And I wonder if that's because they're just making sure that this is kept under lock and key, like as opposed to her like emailing stuff and it like, God forbid, like when she had that whole Israeli hack, the guy who like hacked her computer, and like that's why we got the Rebel Heart leak. And like she must be, if this is a new album, she's being so, the fact that she's hopping on a plane just to make sure this stuff doesn't leak, good for her.
And we know they work fast together. So yeah, she only has to go over there a few times and they could be finished.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope that their conversation was, let's do it the way we did Confessions. That worked,
Yeah, how fast was it that they did that album?
They recorded it 6 months, but it came out a year after they. That's what I looked this stuff up, but Ben's holding up a 2. Is it 2 years?
I thought it was 2 months. I thought it took them 2 months in the summer of 2005 to do that, and then it came out in November.
So not of the same year.
Wikipedia said 6 months for recording, but
she was on tour all of 2004.
It's true.
It came out that fast?
I think they recorded that in the spring and early summer of 2005, and it came out in November, hung up. Remember, because it came out with the stupid she fell off the horse.
Biggie, no. Yeah.
Yeah, she fell off the horse around her birthday.
Yeah.
And then the video came out because then she was on Letterman in November.
Yeah, on the horse.
Yeah. That's right.
And then she did the MTV Europe, and you could tell she was still a little wobbly, but pulled it off. MTV Europe, VMAs.
I feel like she takes much more time these days than she used to.
She does, but yeah, that's not to say they couldn't. They're writing songs, and But yeah, you're right. They're not emailing tracks or anything like that. Like it's all being done on a secure server in his house.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Mike Dean and his jars of weed anywhere either. So
thank God.
Yeah, I think we need a break from Mike Dean, and that his sound, it's okay, but
I think Madonna needs to steer clear of the R&B hip hop scene. It doesn't serve her well. Let other people do it, but like we say, go back to basics.
Guest on another track with The Weeknd and fulfill your R&B desires that way, Madonna. But I think we need a dance album. I think it needs to be uplifting and lyrics that we come to know and love from her. I think it needs to be catchy. I don't want an album full of collaborations. I want some just inherent Madonna songs, like catchy and buoyant. And when do we think we would get this, though? Because when she did Madam X, I mean, that took her ages to when she was teasing being back in the studio. We didn't get that for like a year and a half. And I assume she's going to steer clear of any other banner albums from other pop stars. So she's not going to go up against Lady Gaga's album, which is coming out in January or February.
Right.
So and I'm assuming she's going to want to she'll want to put something out maybe after we get the tour film and the tour audio. So maybe the tour film and the tour audio will be those mysterious January dates that were being circulated. Like somebody saw on her website that there was a couple dates in January that were that popped up and then disappeared.
Yeah.
So maybe
what we haven't considered.
Yes.
She could be doing another version of Celebration as the greatest hits, and they're recording new songs for that, a la Immaculate Collection.
I don't know. We've had so many greatest hits, though.
But when did the last one come out? 2009.
2 years ago?
15 years ago.
No, remixed and revisited.
Finally Enough Love.
Finally Enough Love. Yeah.
I guess that counts.
Yeah, that's a little too. I mean, I don't feel like she's had enough albums since the last greatest hits that she'd be able to.
You're right. Well, maybe she's just going to do a tight 9 or 10 track album with Stuart and pop it out in a few months. Yeah.
I'm fine with a tight 10.
I think what Stephen was saying about the timeline for maybe next early spring or late, early summer, whatever, that kind of makes sense. All the divas and girlies have pretty much everyone's released stuff or is about to release stuff. She won't compete with Kylie. She won't compete with Lady Gaga. The only one holdout would be Rihanna. But we don't.
Good luck.
So in the chat, people are like, "What about the biopic?" Da 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 da. But everybody has to remember the biopic is on hold for a while because Julia Garner is off filming a Marvel movie for several months. And her character is going to be heavy CGI. So she's going to be there doing motion capture like Josh Brolin as Thanos on the set. And then she's going to have to go and do a bunch of green screen stuff. She's probably not even available to start filming until next summer at the earliest.
You're right. So if you think about it, Madonna, get the album done, roll it out, and then because I think her in terms of timeline, I could see her doing filming the movie in the fall, because I think originally she was meant to do the filming of the biopic in September, October, November, in those months, where then she'd edit and this I forget the original timeline of what the movie was, but I could see her. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe she'd release an album and then do a little mini tour in the summer and then go right into doing the biopic in the fall.
Well, and consider she's probably also inspired by the fact that Beyonce has put out an entire album and didn't do any videos or anything. She just has done stuff on social media. It's right up her alley to put something out cheap that can get streams, and they can put out all the vinyls to make the Taylor Swift money and that. But she doesn't have to spend money on videos. She doesn't have to do any press. She just puts it out there.
Yeah, that's I mean, it's a new ball game. So I mean, I could see her doing videos the Frozen remix videos that she did with Ricardo, because he's there, he's already being paid. So it's not like they have to hire some David Fincher-esque video director and pay a huge fee. Like Ricardo's just doing it because
David Fincher would come.
Oh, I mean, I wish too.
Right?
Yeah, like
maybe the lead single, maybe.
There has to be at least one visual, right?
Because think of Confessions, they only had 2 proper videos. I mean, Jump and then Get Together are kind of like, not like full-fledged videos. So yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be too many.
Or, and I mean, if we're talking wants and needs, there's always the fact that maybe she goes the exact opposite route and we get an entire visual album, like how great would it be bad if she did something...
Don't go crazy.
If she did something epic like FKA Twigs Asexual.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh God, I'm about to lose it. Oh.
All right. It won't be a visual album.
Or it could go the opposite direction as...
Sorry, if Madam X wasn't a visual album, nothing else is. Because if any album kind of had that feeling, it was Madam X.
Tony, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was like, we could go the opposite way, and it could be like Fergie's visual album, which got like 3 streams and then got forgotten,
Yeah, well, hopefully. Yeah, look, if she was going to do a visual album, I would want it to be on the level of like when Beyonce does her visual albums, where it's just like Lemonade. It's like epic, but in the Madonna way, as opposed to, I don't want it to be like, what was that train wreck Jennifer Lopez thing that just came out?
Oh, yeah. A $20 million folly.
Yeah, we don't want that. Like, that's what we don't want. So
I bet if she does do a record or even an EP or something, I bet we don't get any videos. Maybe. I mean,
I'd be fine if she's just decided to just do live performances instead.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
I'd love her on some TV shows just doing a song.
Yeah. I'd also be fine with no boyfriend input into her work this time.
Well, he wasn't there.
Yeah, true. He wasn't in the studio this time.
True. He was the one taking the pictures.
No, that was Ricardo.
No, whoever took the pictures erased their reflection from the mirror that's on the wall above Stuart's head. If you zoomed in, they clearly were like pixelated out. There was. Did you guys read the article that was in People today about her beau's ex-girlfriend? Apparently,
what
this guy.
That?
Well,
no, what is it?
It was they met in Vegas and dated for a couple years, and I guess this guy, even before he was in the Paper magazine shoot, he was one of the caretakers for one of the kids. This was what the girlfriend said in the interview, and I was like, oh, so he's been in the mix for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then started dating Madonna and dumped her?
Oh no, they were split up for like a year before Madonna and him showed up on social media.
I see. Oh, I thought that's what the article was. When I saw it, I was like, what is she trash talking?
Oh no. She had nothing bad to say. She was like, oh, he was nice and da 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 and yeah. Oh yeah, no, nothing negative.
Oh, okay.
But it still was like, oh, this guy started as like the babysitter and now he's the boo.
Well, hey, Madonna's got to trust that these people are safe and secure and not out for money.
Yeah. I mean, there's career ladders everywhere.
I know. And she probably doesn't want to rewrite Unapologetic Bitch with this guy, so.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, if we don't have any other things going on in the chat that we need to respond to, or
everybody wants it to be like the Ray of Light Kabbalah 13-track album. It seems that was a popular opinion because I posted, do we want Liberty's 18-track Gigantor record, or do we want? I would prefer like a 9 or 10 True Blue, Like a Prayer.
I agree.
Concise artistic statement,
like the music album.
A lot of people,
10 tracks, then it's over.
But a lot of people still, and I'm not going to lie, the 13 tracks of Ray of Light worked perfectly. I still think it's her most perfect album, so I can be down with that.
I do like the thought of an odd number. I'm more attracted to odd numbers than I am even numbers. But there is something nice about a tight 10, and in today's world, maybe she does that like a super release, or maybe she's recording more stuff so that way it comes out. Who knows? I mean, who knows what she's doing, or I mean, it could just be a couple of extra tracks that maybe she's tacking on to the live audio album for the tour DVD as like an incentive for people to want to pick it up, so it's not a whole new album. I mean, look, I always want a new Madonna album, so I'm selfish in thinking that that's what it is. But I also try to temper my expectations and be like, it'll be 2 songs at the end of the live album as a reason for us to get it, since we already have the Rio leak, I mean, no.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We shall see.
We'll see. Yeah.
Hopefully it comes sooner rather than later. I know people were blowing up, messaging me, being like, "What do we think it is? What do we think it is?" And I'm like, I did have somebody message me, not revealing my sources, but because I don't even know if it's true. I was like, "Stop trolling me!" But they had said they have it on good authority that she has been working on good music. I'm like, well, I've been saying that for years.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, again, it goes back that she did have like the Max Martin and some other stuff that it had been confirmed she'd been working on. It makes sense if Stuart absorbs those into whatever this project is, just like they did with Confessions. Like,
yeah,
exactly. I was
it
going to say
makes sense.
Yeah, the same thing. Like she has a few tracks. Maybe with Stuart, they can visualize a whole vision. And then, honestly, I also remember while we were talking a couple of months ago, there was a rumor that there was a photo that came out of her in London, and a lot of people were saying she's actually working with Stuart. It was circulating Twitter. That was a month or 2 ago. So it seems, there is meat to this rumor. So I'm really hopeful, especially after this conversation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I like to think that, like Tony was saying, they spent a year on the road together. Hopefully they were, hey, what do we think about doing something like this? Ideas percolating, I'd like to think that she's always in a creative mindset, especially when she's around other really great creative people like Stuart. And if he was on the road with her and she liked that mixtape that they did, I mean, it's not far removed to think that she'd be like, yeah, let's put out something. Let's put out some music. And it could be like, remember when Something to Remember came out and it was she just released the music. There was no big promotion. She didn't do performances. She didn't do videos. She just released the album, and maybe it'll be something quiet like that. I mean, not the music, but like maybe the rollout. It'll just be like,
and we got 3 videos.
Yeah, true. I mean, she tried to promote Something to Remember at the VMAs, but then somebody hit her with a compact, so.
Yeah.
Oh, Courtney Love.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, everybody, I guess that's our short and sweet, not too short, but our short and sweet this week in Ciccone. Thanks for joining us for a spontaneous chat. Remember, you can find us on Instagram, X, and Threads at MLVC Podcast. Just a reminder, I said it last night, I'll say it again. Facebook closed down our Facebook page. So if you were following us on Facebook, it's gone, and we're not able to bring it back because Facebook thought we were impersonating Madonna, which we obviously weren't, but it's gone. So join us on Instagram because that's where we live. You can donate to the show on Venmo to MLVC Podcast, or tick that like button on YouTube and you can donate via Super Thanks. And if you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, tick that subscribe button so you never miss a video. Otherwise, Ahmad, thanks for joining us and being game to hop on real quick and share some thoughts. Any parting words for you?
No. I mean, I honestly am just thankful she's in between Stuart's hands again, like whatever happens, even if this isn't a new record, she's in that world. It's going to happen. That's what I'm thinking.
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping we get some goodness coming our way. Until next time, everybody, we're waving goodbye if you are listening.
Bye.